developers in the world today. We're really just super blessed to have you with us, and I'll turn it over to you, Lila.
Oh, I can't tell you how happy I am to be here with all of you, to see your faces, to see your names on the screen. And Ananda, Texas will always hold a very, very special place in my heart, because it's one of the, we could almost say colonies, because of the ongoing incredible energy of Ananda and what's been built with the vision of Master, with the impetus and the drive and the magnetism of Swami Priyananda, my best friend, who it was already established. I'm a writer. One of the books I'm working on now is about Swamiji. And hopefully in the years to come, more people who, as I say, grew up with him will share their experiences. And Ellen, I've been just short of 45 years at Ananda, the Ananda Colonies Centers. And of course, I had to go to my calculator and find out how many days is that I have been so immensely grateful. I kid you not, every single day to live at Ananda, and it's 16,334 days. And, you know, people come here, they're newer. There are people here, obviously, who've been longer than I have. But every single day to have this life is a blessing. I know you've already heard from Shankaracharya, who said that the greatest blessing of all the three worlds, the physical, astral, and causal, is to have a true guru. Well, all we have to do is look at our altars, and we have 5 true gurus. So in other words, does it get any better? And if you want to add to that mix, now here we are in the crash of breaking worlds that Master talked about, that Swamiji prepared us for again and again. And, you know, I will say, also now Northern California, I'm looking out my large patio door window and seeing the unbreathable air. So it's like, okay, there's Afghanistan, there are condos collapsing in Florida, there are hurricanes, all kinds of natural cataclysms. But right here, right now at the village, it's not somewhere else, it's right here. I wanted to show you Exhibit A. When I walk out my door, this is what I have to wear, because the air is so fiercely toxic from still uncontained fires an hour north and a bit south of us. And you think, oh, well, you're safe. Well, you're not just breathing burned trees, but burnt buildings and tremendous toxins. So I say this not to alarm you, but to say these are the hard times. They're here. And I encourage you, enjoy every single breath of fresh air that you have. So with that as an introduction, a little sobering, but, you know, because of our path, just a little bit of a greater test, I'd like to share a little bit about the amazing reading for this week, Who Are True Christians, and to infuse in that some stories about Swamiji. And, you know, when we come to the part where we just share, there's so much to share. There's such richness in this community and the experience of living with Swamiji until he passed. You know, I wasn't one of the people who worked with him specifically, but I had an amazing amount of quality time with him. So there's a lot to share. I did kind of bop in a few weeks ago when Darshan was speaking, and maybe it's stuck in your mind as well. He told a really sweet story about Shivani at Ananda. It's easy Googling Siri, where can I find God? And the answer was Ananda Sizi. And you'll see, an occasional kitty walking by in the background. I've got my own little zoo here. But okay, so maybe I wasn't the only one who went to my phone, because locally I wanted to know, where can I find God? And the first of three answers was Walgreens. I have no idea why they were number one. And Ananda Village was number two. And then in a funny way, the third place locally where you can find God is a shooting range in Grass Valley with the motto, and here's probably why they got listed so high: no harassment to disturb peace of mind, and God, of course. So I think from these three options, we can safely assess God is everywhere. So to refer again to Swamiji's beautiful reading for this week, who are true Christians? The first thing that came to mind was, I kid you not, this is probably about 43 years ago, right here, actually at the meditation retreat, we had an India fair. Our nature as devotees, serving, working on our own inner life, is to celebrate outwardly. So we had an India fair where Swamiji, of course, came because he participated. He was so much a part of what was happening in the early days, and as much as he could in the older, the more recent times until he passed. But we had invited a holy man from the Bay Area, Sant Keshabadas, and he was, like one of the attractions for this event. And people were dressed in their Indian garb. There was Indian dance happening. It was the first time I'd seen Northern Indian dancing that very stylized, beautiful dance. And so we're all just milling around, going to the different booths and whatnot. And, talking about who are true Christians. He had his entourage with him, and somebody happened to ask Swamiji, as best I can remember from about 43 years ago, Swamiji, is he a true teacher? And Swami's answer was very interesting. This is what stuck in my mind. And he said, look at his followers. And to be very honest, they were a little bit buffoonish. They were, not to judge, not to compare, but they were a bit, joking, playful, which is all fine, but lacking in a certain dignity. And that somehow seemed to apply to our topic today of who are the true Christians, who are, in other words, not Pharisees, not people using spirituality to build, to reinforce egos instead of annihilate them. And it did turn out sometime later that this man was exposed for improprieties and inappropriate behavior with his female disciples. And what's interesting to me is this was the man, the spiritual teacher. I went to visit him in San Francisco, and he actually suggested my spiritual name, which I then laid at Swamiji's feet and asked for his blessings, or I wouldn't have taken it. So Lila, Devi, goddess of the cosmic drama, or some of you may know Nitai. He liked to explain it as goddess of the cosmic skit. So anyway, that was an interesting remark by Swamiji. Look at his followers to see if there's a true teaching there. Now, does this mean, according to the reading, oh, don't serve, you can't serve until you're God realized? Where would we all be because it's that service that purifies us. And step by step, if in serving we set our ego aside to be true channels, that is how we are and how we become true Christians. Swamiji was a writer. He was a writer, he was a composer, he was a playwright, a photographer. He was pretty much all of the above in the creative realms. And yet whatever he did, he didn't do it to build who he was. Some years ago, I had a friend come from the Netherlands, a fellow flower essence producer, very dear, has a beautiful organization, has written a lot of books. And so I hosted him staying here, and he made an interesting comment about Swamiji. He said, oh, he must be so pleased that he's written so many books, that he has such acclaim. And it was such a foreign thought that Swamiji would embrace his creativity in that way. No, it was a form of service to him. It didn't matter what he was doing. It was all service. It was service to his guru. It was service to everyone who picked up one of those books. He was a channel. And so if you want to understand how to answer this question, who are true Christians, go to Swamiji's very last sentence in this reading, where he says, give God the credit for everything you do. See him as the true doer. And even the D on doer is capitalized. That's how we become true Christians. We are channels of a higher teaching, a true teaching, whether it be Christianity or any of the other great world religions. That's how we become true gurus. True gurus. And in fact, along those lines, Master said this story of someone saying to him, look at you, you're a guru. It's easy for you to talk about the spiritual path. And he said, someday you too will be a guru. And he didn't mean that in an egoic way. According to this reading, he meant it in the way of channeling God, becoming that pure channel, becoming that true Christian, true Muslim, true Jewish person, whatever. And that's the religion that I was raised in. And yet this reading touches on the sanctity of any true seeker. So God bless you all. And I think now is the time where we open it up to a satsang that I was told is much like sitting down together at a dinner. So let's feast.
Thank you, Lila Devi. That was really very enjoyable. And so we just encourage anyone who wants to jump in and open cameras. So go right ahead.
Hello, Lila Devi. It's Mike Wolverton. Nice to see you.
Hi.
Welcome.
Thank you.
I just wanted to ask you about how you feel you are channeling God's will and being serviceful in your flower essences, in the creation of them. Maybe just share a little bit about how they've been helping people and how you've been helping people.
Oh my goodness. Thank you. Thank you. And as you were even asking that question, this flood of answers came. So I hope I can figure out where to start, because I have a little bit of smoke brain right now. you know, and I'm 2 feet away from my air purifier, just so you know. Okay, first of all, you could say it's a business. I call it a ministry. Legally, I would be called a sole proprietor, but I spell it S-O-U-L. So it's always been a ministry. It's always been a form of service. The testimonials flood in. I was trained by Swamiji in little bits and pieces how to not just run this business, because yes, there's an office, orders go out, there's inventory, there are all kinds of issues to deal with, but it is a service, and a magnificent one, because that's what we do here. It doesn't matter what we are doing, actually. And lately, we as a community have been given a mantra, a very simple 2-word mantra, to say as often as we remember Om Guru. And the message from Jyotish and Devi was, this is not just to keep ourselves strong in what she blatantly shared is a time of darkness right now. That's what we're working through, to bring the light, to ever be beacons of light, not just for ourselves, but to strengthen the community. So I don't think it's limited just to the village. And of course, your mission right now is to find that perfect new home for Ananda Dallas. And so to chant Om Guru, every time I walk into the office, I say a prayer. This is what Swamiji trained us to do decades ago. He said, even in the market, for the people behind the register, as you're bagging an order, as you're ringing it up, be prayerful. Pray for that order. Start everything with a prayer. So I enter the office with a prayer. I leave it with a prayer, and a prayer of such gratitude for the people who helped, who say, and this is an actual testimonial, my life was changed by spirit in nature essences. It's blessed, it's an honor. And again, to share with you about Swamiji, this is again back in the olden days, you know, it's almost like the Old West or something, but people were always asking Swamiji, Swami, what should I do for work? Should I do this? Should I do that? Invariably, he wouldn't tell them, because that was part of their process to understanding themselves better and understanding how to deepen their own intuition. Because he said, go into your heart, the chakra for intuition, the center for intuition. And now, of course, we have our chakra blend flower essences to help with that. But he encouraged people to take their own baby steps. If this job feels right to you, take another step in that direction. If you feel a nervousness, that is your intuition saying, don't go there. So the point being, I feel triply blessed. I'll explain why, because this is a dharma that Swamiji gave to me in the late 70s. And that's a very magical story. It's in a blog now posted on the Ananda website and also at Ananda Assisi. Although that one will be taken down to not conflict, and it will go up again in Italian, that I don't know if that will help you. But this was a dharma straight from Swamiji. And when I want to waste a little time or play with my own mind, I think, my goodness, why did he choose me for this work? You know, but there is a deep resonance, and in my heart, I know, because one of the things that I most appreciated, respected, and drew from in Swamiji was his ability to articulate consciousness. As he did in our reading today, in the affirmation on inspiration, about, go into true calmness, and that's where you find inspiration, that he could explain the most baffling truths in the fewest and most simple words. There was nothing pedantic, there was nothing inappropriately lofty about how he would explain things. And I strive to do that in the flower essences, Mike, because there's something here now that wasn't there before, that is built on Yogananda's psycho-spiritual qualities of fruits and vegetables. So whereas before we had apples, oranges, pears, we now have Master's interpretation: apples, peaceful clarity, true helpfulness; oranges, enthusiasm, hope; pears, a huge one. Everyone needs pear right now. I've got that about 6 feet from me. Pears for peacefulness, a quality that is being challenged on more than a daily basis for us. If you can't breathe the air, maybe it's other challenges. Maybe you're not in the epicenter of a crisis, but we are not untouched by what's happening overseas or on the other side of our own country. So again, based on these psycho-spiritual qualities that Master intuited. I mean, we don't have to say, how did he know that? Well, he was an avatar. He wasn't just a saint. He wasn't just a good person. He was a completely freed world leader behind the scenes, as was Babaji, as was every one of the gurus on our altar, including, of course, Christ. So I don't know if that's answered your question, Mike. It could, be a seminar in and of itself. But this is a very blessed work. And let me just close with this final thought, because I did mention I feel triply blessed by Swamiji. He gave me not one Dharma or life work. He gave me 3. Okay, there's the flower essences. He told me, Lila Devi, you should be a writer. And, I have the 4 books as mentioned. The first book, the Essential Flower Essence Handbook, has the honor of being used by doctors across borders, the holistic branch of Without Borders, to train their physicians in flower essences. So anyway, that was no surprise, because I've been writing since the 5th grade. And the 3rd Dharma he gave to me, that I try to infuse in everything I do, and in fact, in this talk, get ready to laugh. Swamiji told me, Lila Devi, you should be a comedian. And so here at the village, I've done a lot of theater. Having said I've lived at a lot of communities, Palo Alto was one of them. 3 times at Palo Alto. I was the first official paid social director at Ananda Palo Alto. That was back in the early 90s, right before coming to Ananda Dallas. And I was actually salaried. I received $50 a year for being the social director. But here at the village, there's been lots of humor, lots of lightness. I have directed a lot of Woodhouse. About 2 years ago at our big 50th, I directed Swamiji's Blessed Jewel in the Lotus play, having also done that when he was in the audience to witness it many, many years ago. I still can't reveal to you who the Easter Bunny is, but there's enough said there. It's just something very sacred. Mrs. Claus, Betsy Ross at July 4th parades, a character I created for Halloween, Morticia Magicia, the world's most authentic fake gypsy palm reader who is consistently wrong in her readings. So, you know, there's so many ways to serve and to bring balance and joy to the community, especially right now, to keep us strong and to keep us radiant in Master's ray in our own inner lives and in our service to others.
Thank you so much for sharing with us about how you are serving and all those. There's so many things I did not know. I'm glad you kept going to let us know such beautiful things about being a comedian and also social director and the Doctors Across Borders. Oh my goodness, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, all of this is because Swamiji was the single soul who heard when Master said, build cooperative communities. And these are becoming more and more in the forefront right now. Please ask.
Well, I would just say that I had no idea that you were a comedian, that I read some of your blogs online on your website, and your humor just comes through so strongly in those. So that's why when I wrote you, I said, oh my gosh, I love your humor. So you all, if you haven't already, check out Lila Devi's website and you'll get a taste of her great humor and her great writing as well.
So if we're sitting together at a meal, enjoying, please pass the questions. Hi.
Hey, Lila.
Oh, so good to see you.
Good to see your face. Hey, you know, it's interesting, and I thought you could probably comment on it. You know, Swami, when he was alive, I was always just so in awe of the man. I could really, I mean, I could say things, you know, but it's just, there was a different relationship. When he, actually, interestingly enough, when he passed, I was able to tune into him better in some interesting way. And I don't say that for any other reason than we didn't really I mean, it was great to have known him and seen him and everything, but he said, you know, you'll know me through my words and my music. And I don't know, it's been the sweetest thing. My favorite thing is I always listen to the books that he narrated, you know, when like he redid Whispers, you know, he took it and he made it in a more accessible way. And sometimes I'll sit in my easy chair, my little zero gravity chair, and put my headphones on and just listen for hours to it. And it puts me in a kind of a different state. And I just wondered if you had any comments on that for people who, you know, didn't know him so much when he was alive.
Yeah. Again, you know, I have about a dozen comments, and it's beautiful that you're doing that because he is accessible. You know, I go through my moments of sadness and missing sitting at his feet, you know, in a crowd of maybe 100, maybe more people. But I also know, as Master said, as the chant says, if I find, you're going to have to help me because I really do have smoke brain right now. If I will find fault with my diving. If I find not, I will not blame the sea. I will find fault with my diving. And so Swamiji is right here. And this story came to mind, so I'll trust that to share it. When I did live at Ananda CZ, first of all, I was there back in the mid 80s when we first started. We were outside of Lake Como, and those were the rugged days. If you go to AnandaEurope.org, you'll see a blog about that there's a whole lot of humor there because we had to keep a whole lot of humor. The austerity we went through was absolutely incredible. But okay, back to a story that I was told by an Italian. She was at some event. She worked with our publisher there. And a psychic woman came up to her, and psychic, you know, you put that in quotes. But this woman came up to Nandini and said, "There's someone on your right shoulder. He's in blue." And she knew right away it was Swamiji. And she told that story with the richness and devotion of Ananda Sisi. And sometimes I myself like to imagine Swamiji is right there with me. He's even closer. He's in my heart. He's guiding me. And, you know, if I don't find him, I have to find fault with my diving. I have to make more effort, because I don't know about you, but I'm still really in delusion and working really hard to get out of it. I'm working harder now because that's the blessing of these times. And so what you're doing, Eric, is it's the way to go. It's the direction to go. Master said in the hard times for this country in particular, and my friends, it's very clear we're in the hard times. He said America would, because we have good karma as a country, as a group, and group karma, that we would become half as rich and twice as spiritual. Now, here's the fine print and the good news, at least in my mind. Wait a minute. Ananda already is a powerhouse in this world. Master could not have excluded Ananda when he said that. And so if this means Ananda is going to become twice as spiritual, I'm in. And that's all of us. Because as we know, Ananda is not a geographical location, it's a consciousness. And I know that all of you are spending your Sunday at the Satsang because you take your spiritual life very seriously. So, and I'll digress a little bit on your theme and your great question and comments, Eric. That, okay, here's a little bit of irony. I went to the Ananda farm in Half Moon Bay on the coast. I returned last Friday. I was there for a week, and I went to get away from the bad air. When your lungs hurt, when you breathe, your throat hurts, you have a headache, it's time to do something. It's like, I need air, you know, I mean, inside, okay, it's better, but sometimes you just have to, you know, get to the office. You have to get to the recycling center. You have to get groceries at the market, whatever. And so I was all excited. I packed up, I loaded my car, you know, and wearing this all the time. I get to the coast, and guess what? 2 days earlier, the bad air preceded me. And I was in a magnificent apartment hidden in a barn. You would never know. This beautiful little apartment with antique furniture, with a beautiful altar. And I did take my guitar for chanting, but it's like, no, I can't even make one more trip to my car to load up. So I won't take my harmonium. Of course, there's a harmonium there, so the chanting was able to happen. But also there was the bad air, and it's like, okay, that was Divine Mother's idea of a joke. And how can I keep my energy strong and raised? Because the one thing I didn't bring was my air purifier. And, you know, that air would seep in. And Eric, the thought came into my mind, sing the secret of laughter. So I got out my guitar and I started singing. Okay, maybe I didn't have the verses all in the right order. Maybe my throat was a little croaky and I couldn't sing it as well as I wanted to, but it was me and Swamiji. And it was his words, if you want to know me, tune into my music, listen to my music, sing my music. And by golly, if I hadn't been playing the guitar, I just would have gotten up and started dancing, because there was that joy. The secret of laughter lies in the laughing, not in the search for joy. It's a swallow winging on the wind. It's innocence in a boy. God bless you.
That's beautiful, Lila Devi. Those words, almost makes me want to cry. They're so, just so rich, right? Oh, so, yeah, I encourage anyone else to jump in, but I do know that you used to play a role here in Dallas, and I'm sure there are those who would like to hear something. I know Supriya is here, and a lot of others who have been here for many decades. So could you just share with us about that?
Yes, yes. It was a very, very special time in my life to serve at Ananda Dallas in the very, very early stages. And, you know, to be back with you, some of you whom I know, some of you were, in a sense, meeting for the first time. But I think what we all feel and what we find is the richness of the relationship of Guru Bhais. It's like nothing I've ever experienced in my life. And that is a part of my 16,000 plus days at Ananda, daily gratitude for my Guru Bhais. You know, after 45 years, I'm still learning. We have this simple expression, not just joy, but ever new joy. That is the experience of Ananda. And I'm going to digress until you stop me, unless there are more questions. So I'll just rattle on. Swamiji himself, in his later years, and for a lot of us, our later years as well, said, you know, even when the wrinkles come, they're happy wrinkles. That Ananda people wear their age well because of that ever new joy. And because what are we doing? We are reconnecting with our ageless soul. And that's really good news when you start aging, people. Okay. And you can't stop what happens. Swamiji made such a good joke. He said, I keep telling people don't get old, and nobody listens to me. So here we are. So here's the story. Once upon a time, it was somewhere, and Supriya can correct me on this, around 1993, Pranaba and Parvati were on their way to start Ananda, Texas. And the first thought, okay, what did they pack up? Of course, their belongings, but they also packed up the altar from the expanding light in a U-Haul. So we could start our temple and our mission in Ananda, Texas, with a very powerful symbol and focus of prayer, of worship, of meditation, and service as well. And the magnetism was so strong. This thought came into my heart, go. You should go. They're going to need a festival player. They're going to need a guitarist for Sunday service. Lila Devi, is that enough of a reason to pack up your life and the flower essences and your cat at the time in your little Toyota Tercel and drive across the country? Yes. I asked for permission. And that's a little bit why I call myself a backdoor minister, because it wasn't that I was told, please go, a guitarist is needed for the festival. And then other dharmas grew out of that, starting the Sunday school directing our first choir, all these many ways to serve. And so I asked, and oh my goodness, that would be wonderful. So here was our little group of Guru Bhais of Satsang, starting Ananda, Texas, and off I drove in my little car, and was a little bit bleary-eyed when I arrived there. There was no GPS at that time. And for someone who has a bad sense of direction, it was really a challenge, because the last hour or so was me calling Parvati on the phone, because I kept driving around the same part of the freeway, not understanding where to exit, and finally getting there. And where did we start? I know you know this story. We started in Austin, Texas, a remarkable place, just remarkable. But it turned out Dallas was where we ended up settling. So I drove across the country to play the festival and to live in a garage. And you can see what it's grown to, the deep souls who have been drawn, that sense of Dharma and of, good humor, because we have to have that balance. Swamiji would read us Woodhouse. I listened to him all the time in my car, Mulliner's Buck You Up-O, bestseller, the way that he would read and do all the voices. And the one that I just listened to was about the two pastors with their chasubles. And he did this one voice. He'll do a Russian accent. He'll do the women. And he was doing the ministers, the pastors, with this really, one of them had this nasal voice. So I'm listening to Swami and I'm trying to mimic what he did, how he placed his voice, the brilliance of his own consciousness to relay to us what consciousness is about. But again, I've digressed. So here was the beginning of, now it's Ananda Dallas, but I will share with you, because this was like yesterday. Okay, it's Sunday service. We've got our rented space. We've got our gorgeous altar. Everything is just perfect. And Pranaba and Parvati had not yet walked out to begin the service. How is everyone? How feels everyone? The voice of God calls us to awaken in him. And so I'm sitting there with my guitar all ready to do the chanting in service and then for the festival. And as it turns out, I was the only one in the room. No one had come to our Sunday service in Austin, Texas. And Pranaba and Parvati walk out with all this great energy, and Pranaba broke character. He said, "Where is everyone?" And we tried, we gave it the good old college try, and then realized, wait a minute, our devotees are in Dallas. We need to get up there. And so it might have been 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, maybe Supriya can correct that. It was just a number of months that we were there and still giving it our best. And as a result, other people have come. I know you have visiting ministers, light bearers, a lot of strength, a lot of beautiful, strong devotees, keeping that lamp lit on the altar of divine love to draw other souls whose own souls are crying for truth, for a true experience of spirit within themselves, in their families, in their jobs. So that's how it began, and so it continues.
And how long did you stay, Lila Devi?
About 1.5 years.
Okay. And where did you go from there?
I came back to the village for a while, and it's funny. I like to say that I'm on a bungee cord, that I live at Ananda Village, and I just pop out to this colony, that colony, Ananda Sacramento, Palo Alto, as I mentioned, Ananda CZ, not on the East Coast. And you may remember, or I think Supriya does, it was just 2 years ago, we were planning to have me come out to Ananda, Dallas to teach, to do kirtan, satsang, Sunday service, etc. And COVID comes along. So yeah, and a lot of teaching and visiting Ananda Portland, Ananda Seattle, they do carry the flower essences. So, and also I've actually done concerts of Swamiji's music in Japan, in Brazil, in England, in Spain. And Swamiji himself, to get back to your comment, Eric, assigned his songs to our 20 flower essences. And so every time the choir sings a new tomorrow, oh my goodness, that's corn essence for mental vitality. Brave were the people, tomato essence, strength, courage, endurance, mother of wisdom, divine sweetness from date essence. So that's what's in my heart when we sing in the choir. I want to, oh, we're doing the date essence song. You know, hello there, brother Bluebell, spinach for simplicity, for that childlike attitude.
So can I say hi to everyone?
Yes, my dear. Thank you for coming, Supriya Ji.
Oh my gosh, so I'm in Broken Bow, Oklahoma, at a beautiful cabin house that is my son's. So he reserved this long weekend for me and Sundari. And so we are here, but I just said I will hop on at 11:30 so I can take you off of this. And then literally I am going to hop on, and Sundari and I will play in Kirtan with Monterey Bay at 1 o'clock. So in case you want to do that, if you need that link, text me. But I wanted to say this, Lila Devi is the one who coerced, encouraged, corralled me into being in the choir. Because I was a brand new person, just starting to attend Sunday services at Ananda. I had no intention of, I'd learned to meditate and that was it. But I wasn't like, I didn't know Yogananda. So I would go to Sunday service just to check it out while I was still going to Catholic masses. And one time after Sunday service, Lila, Devi, comes up to me and says, you can carry a tune. Because I was chanting because I loved the music, right? You can carry a tune. And I said, yeah, I didn't say much more than that. Would you like to be in our choir? Was the next question, I do believe. I get all heart choked up. Just know that I first I said no, and she said, well, just stay. We're having choir practice after service. You know, just stay. We're going to start any moment. Janae and Roderick was there. Many people know them. Parvati Pranava, JT Heater, now Panduranga, was there, and a few other great souls. Michael Anderson, who was online. Michael Anderson was there.
Jan and Robert.
Oh my gosh. Hello, Jan and Robert. They're online. And how did I ever forget them? Without Jan, we wouldn't have had a meditation group, perhaps. Anyway, that's how I joined the choir. The music touched my heart. I learned a lot of Swamiji's songs then. And Lila Devi that was it. So you were very instrumental in that. You carry a tune. Would you like to be in the choir? Question.
And you know what? Even if you didn't carry a tune, I still would have roped you into it. You didn't have a choice. This music was for you to connect with.
I was a staunch Catholic back then. You know that. Everybody knows that. But Master had other plans, and I'm so very grateful, to be honest. Yeah. And I remember the day that we packed up, Lila Devi and Carmen, for those of you, yeah, we packed the trucks when they were leaving, and Mantra Devi and Krishnadas were then leaving. They were the ministers then, and we were packing trucks, and we were crying on our end. We were all crying. What are we going to do? Well, here we are, 5 years later. So thank you, God. Thank you, masters. Yeah. So thanks for letting me say hi. I'm going to be here for another moment. I see Sam. That's Monterey Bay. He's waving, and I'm going to say I'll see you on your link real soon, Sam. Okay. Wait. Here's Sundari.
Namaste. Hello, Eric. Hello, Lila. And also, there's Mike, there's Sam, there's Kimberly,
Ellen.
Ellen,
That's our Austin crew.
Sundari.
She's our drummer. So she has her Indian drums. The harmonium is right here. And we practiced last night, and we'll be doing a few chants. It's going to be a lot about Krishna. It's Krishna time. So Sam, why don't you put that link in the chat box for people? And it starts at 1 o'clock our time. You're muted, but I'm going to mute myself and say, yay, so good to be with you guys.
Give me a second and I'll put it in there. Hi, good morning, Lila, Devi.
Hi, Sam. Who knew?
Who knew? God knew.
God knew, and he's spreading the word. Incredible.
Yes, all over. Give me a second and I will manage to get our link put into the chat box for today's kirtan. It's going to be mostly Krishna chants, because this is Jamashtami, whatever, I can't pronounce any of the Indian words. So don't worry about it. It's all Krishna, a good portion of Krishna chants. And it will be starting in about 35 minutes. We will be all Zoom in. We've got Supriya in Oklahoma. I just blows me away. And we'll have our friend Dolores she's up in Boulder Creek in California. And then I don't know about another friend, Janice Fairley. She will be joining us from Fremont, if all goes well. And then I'll be there with Pam, and we'll be doing readings, and we'll be doing some singing, we'll do some chanting. And, Lila, Devi, you were talking about memories. I'll never remember the one time Pam and I were visiting Sacramento. And
I forgot Sacramento, yes.
and it was for Sunday service, and I believe Ananta and Maria were still there at the time. So this is a while back. And they're in the new temple. And of course, I always had a guitar with me. And Maria says, well, aren't you playing festival? And I says, well, how can I play festival? Like, I'm a guest here. She goes, you're not a guest, you live here. And that's, I think, the first time we sat down next to each other and we played together. And
you gave me chills. Yeah.
I'll never forget the comment after service. You made the comment like, this stuff. like something to that effect. You know it. You've played this before. And I'll never forget that comment. And it's one of those things that lives back deep down in my memory of events at Ananda. So thank you. And I'm going to go struggle real fast here to get this link put in the chat box. And we'll see maybe some of you in 35 minutes coming from California.
Thank you, Sam. Thank you. Supriya, it's great to see you. Lila, Devi, do you have anything else you'd like to say? It has been just a treasure having you, and we hope that when everything is over, that you'll be able to come back to visit us in Texas in person. That would be a blessing.
I would so love that. There's a unique warmth to the consciousness of the Ananda Dallas, Ananda, Texas Center. Again, like here we are just all sitting down to a meal. Swamiji modeled for us the importance of balance. He had a lot of video parties, people worked hard, they played hard, we still do. And I just thank you for the honor of having this time with you and to see your spirit and your commitment to God and Guru. And you're a beacon of light. God bless you all.
I just want to say this, if it's not possible, non-attachment, however, Lila Devi, why not close this out if you have a guitar nearby with one of Swamiji's songs? I mean, I know you travel around and can probably do a super simple one. Is that even a possibility, everybody?
You could do the Secret of Laughter that you mentioned earlier.
Oh my goodness. How about if I do Life is a Dream? Because I don't want to get all the paragraphs, the verses in the wrong order. Give me 10 seconds, my guitar is right over there.
Yeah.
Do we lose Sam? I was going to ask him to play.
Yeah, he went to go start their service.
And feel free to sing. I don't know if that works. Life is a dream, time like a stream, carries our burdens away. Never despair, joys everywhere. Love can befriend you today. Free from all care, like birds on the air, soar above peace and worries, seek joy and be gay. Often on earth, things of great worth, worldly ambitions divide. Sometimes a friend helps us ascend up from life's cares to the sky. Love is a star, the shining above. It can guide us and help us toward light to draw nigh. Love is a star, though shining afar. It can guide us and help us toward light to draw nigh. God bless you.
And you as well. Thank you so much for sharing.
And you. Bye, dear ones.
Thank you everyone for being here with us today, and we'll see you, we hope, next Sunday. God bless everyone. You're welcome to stay on a little longer if you wanted to chat, but we'll close for now. Thank you.
God bless you.
Bless you.
Both of you. Thank you. It was a wonderful sharing.
That was a wonderful sharing.
Very deep souls.
We'll be in touch with you.
I look forward.
Can't wait to try your essences.
Take care. Yeah, maybe we can do Zooms or whatever, but the heart connection is always there.
Yeah. Until next time.
Until next time. God bless you. Bye-bye.